G'day legends, welcome back to Roadside presented by Zwift. Today we are previewing the first monument for the year in Milan San Remo. Tommy, where does it rank in your monument list, mate? Of the five, which number is it if one is the best and fifth is the worst?
Oh, okay, so what do we got? We got maybe Roubaix, Flanders. Oh, I would maybe put it fourth.
Ooh, okay.
Fourth,
Jeez.
yes. I'm a fan of Lombardia. I
Yep.
like that race.
Yep.
La Doyon, Liège-Bastogne-Liège. I could take it or leave it.
Okay.
But I love it. I love it all. I love them all. But I'd say that in context. You?
It ranks 2 for mine.
2.
I love it and I watch every kilometre every single year.
Flanders or Roubaix would be your
Roubaix
one.
first, Milan San Remo second, Flanders third. I love the build-up of the race. I love it's like a slow piano at the start and then the rock music at the end. I just like how it's structured, but it is a great race. We've been waiting for the first monument all year. It's here, and it's an interesting addition this year as the weather, as I checked earlier today, Tommy,
What's
far,
it looking like?
the weekend forecast for the area of the finish of San Remo is all rain. Not just rain on the day, Saturday, but rain on Friday, rain on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it doesn't look like there may be precipitation.
What about the breeze, mate? The breeze it generally plays the most important factor.
Yes.
The rain, yeah, look, it's bad and everything. They've got great wet weather gear. If it's not going to be too cold, which is critical.
It's 290 kilometres. If it's raining, there's no wet weather gear that can help you.
No, you'd be surprised, mate, because they can they can manage it. But I agree with you. Tell you what, if you're Mads Pedersen, you'd be licking your lips at that sort of wet weather prospect.
Absolutely.
But what's the breeze doing?
I looked at the breeze, but to be honest,
What's the Italian equivalent of bomb?
I had a look at the wind forecast, but I don't actually know which way the city's orientated. So I didn't know what was a headwind, what was a tailwind. But what I did see were the wind numbers projected for Saturday were low, which either or, it's probably a good thing. Now, it's an interesting addition as well this year because there have been rumours circulating on the socials, on Twitter more specifically, that Pogacar and Team UAE XRG are planning a Sky Train lead-out on the Cipressa, which of course is the second last sort of climb before they get to the Poggio. But
I mean, they're planning it. What do you mean rumours? That is the plan. That's got to be their only plan. That is quite literally the only way the Pog's going to win the race.
That might be plan A, but let's dive into it. This is Roadside presented by Zwift. So Milan San Remo, 289 kilometres this year with the 20k neutral, so it does take it over 300 kilometres and the longest one-day race in the world. It's second longest Melbourne to Warrnambool, of course, here in Australia. It goes from Milan to the Ligurian coast and then, of course, into San Remo. The three primary features of the race itself, the course historically, have been the Cipressa, which is the climb that comes around about 270 to go, Tommy, and that is 4%. 5.4 kilometres long. There's a little steep bit in it, but mostly it is pretty, nice gradient. And then the Poggio, we know, with 10 k's to go, 3.7 k's at 4%, but it has that steep middle section, and that has been the launch pad just about every single time this race has been run. And of course, the third feature of the course is the Poggio descent. We've seen the likes of Mohoric and Nibali get away with their descending prowess. So the route, I mean, it's a beautiful picture to watch on TV, but the action is certainly in the last, say, 25k.
Yeah, you put it's a slow bubble on the stove, isn't it? It's the riders, they make their way down the coast for the what will be the 116th edition of this race. So It's an old race. Yeah, look, it's a brilliant monument. I'm a fan of it. I like the course. I just wish there was a slightly harder condition. I just hope the breeze is just full crosswind, and I hope they're riding, straight in the gutter for about 100 k's and no one's talking to each other. I hope it's that sort of day, to be honest, mate. But no, it's going to be interesting.
It is going to be interesting. The big contenders, all eyes, they're on UAE Team Emirates. Like I said at the start, at the top of the show, the big rumours all year round. Pretty much I was reading these around February with this one nutcase who he's got, I don't know what his name is, but on Twitter there is this guy who has all the inside goss on Pogacar, and in early days he's actually proved to be right. He's got some sort of links with the team, but there's been a lot of rumours that they are planning a full team lead-out, not on the Poggio, on the Cipressa to launch Pogacar for a 40-kilometre raid for this race. And we saw last year He tried on the Poggio
He did.
many times. There was a
He did.
headwind in 2024. It didn't work. But you know what? I think as strong as Pogacar is, if he was to go on the Poggio like last year with a tailwind, even with a lead out, the climb just isn't hard enough. And the start of the race is too easy. And someone made a really good point. I can't remember where I heard this, but because they tried to lead it out on the Cipressa, and they got rid of a lot of riders in 2024 UAE on the Cipressa before the Poggio, that took away the speed and the fight and the energy burnt that is typically seen into the Poggio. The fight for the Poggio is what has made the race so hard, because that is so hard. But when they eliminated in 2024 all the riders in the Cipressa, or half the peloton, it took away all the riders who would be doing that lead out into the Poggio, which I think made Pogacar's attempt to get away even harder. So they have a lot of... The course doesn't suit them, but it's going to be exciting to watch them try, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly will. I reckon every team would have known from the start of the year that's what the Pog's going to be doing. I reckon that will go. That's the writing on the wall. And that will be sort of one of the first hurdles that the other teams with sprinters will have to navigate. How do you counteract that, though? You've got to just be in good position, be on the wheel. And
on the wheel.
Yeah, you basically just got to say to your 3 or 4 protected riders for the day, who are generally working for the one rider right at the end. Those guys who their job is to be right there at the depths in the finale. They've got to be in good position in the Cipressa.
And that is the likes of Van der Poel. If you're Van der Poel, it's as simple as just staying in the wheel of Pogacar. He's got the power. He's the only rider who's got the power to go with Pogacar short bursts on any terrain, classics terrain. On the Poggio and Cipressa, there's probably a lot of riders that can go with Pog because it's just simply not that hard, and drafting is a big form. But Van der Poel is one of the big favourites. He's obviously in unstoppable form, so what we've seen so far this year...
I don't know. He's second, third over at Torino. He rocked up to a midweek classic and he stomped his prowess on that. He's going well, but he's not... He hasn't just gone to a race.
Okay, so maybe
exactly.
not unstoppable form.
I've got question marks on him.
From what we know, he turns up to his goals, and that's what I'm thinking anyway.
Well, he did a job in the race last year, didn't he? He was pivotal. He was pivotal to Jasper Philipsen winning.
He was the 2023 champion, and last year he tried. He went with he was with Pog, he was with Garner. It came back together. He did the team role once that group regrouped at the base of the Poggio, and he did. He drilled it and actually closed some moves for Philipsen. I actually think Philipsen being in this team with Van der Poel ruins and makes his chances worse, because
absolutely.
Philipsen is so fit, and you've seen what he can do so far. He's been training for the classics rather than a sprint at the start of this year. So he's quoted last month. He's going to be there probably in that group too. So if it comes back together at the base again, Van der Poel for the second year in a row will find himself in a team role.
Yeah, absolutely. And I reckon he would swallow that pill as well, and I think he would cop it. He's that sort of rider, and I think the tables will turn. If Van der Poel does that again, he will want to have someone like Philipsen, who he would want to be owed a favour
at Roubaix.
Come the classics.
And Philipsen did.
Come the cobbled monuments.
I mean, I can't recall in 2024 Roubaix if Philipsen did
No.
any moves.
He was just monitoring, and he closed moves. He played the teammate role. So, you're speaking of keeping receipts, mate. I reckon they will be keeping receipts.
Van der Poel for sure will have a receipt in his Lamborghini. No doubt about it. Now, the other favourites, Mads Pedersen showed his form at Paris-Nice.
Yeah.
That he has got extra climbing
He's
legs.
moving.
This is a race that does suit him. He loves a long sprint, a reduced sprint. He's got to be one to watch. And more importantly, if they bring Jonathan Milan, the teams aren't released just yet, but you've got to assume the Italian is going. If they bring Milan and they have Tom Squinge as well there, they could potentially have 3 in that final group at the base of the Poggio.
Yeah, it's almost too many contenders, in my opinion. In my opinion, you realistically only want to bring Pedersen and Milan. Because... But if you bring Milan, I don't think he's getting over it. I don't think he's good enough to get over these climbs. It's going to be a fascinating one to watch because Pedersen could be, he's in great form. He's climbing super well, and he's obviously got the turn of pace to be able to win if it comes to a bunch kick. But I don't know if you bring big Johnny boy, if he, because we literally know Pog's going to light it up early.
You bring him in case the race is a big headwind and there's a big group at the finish, because then Mads is not going to win because Philipsen is there and maybe some of the other top sprinters are there. You bring Milan as the backup.
You don't reckon Pedersen can outsprint Philipsen at the end of a hard slog, wet, cold day like this?
He can, but it's not a given. But if you've got Milan there and there's a group sprint, well, I think
chances are improved considerably.
And they're typically and historically, Lidl-Trek have always raced really well as a team. Those, particularly Mads and Tom Squeens, and I imagine that Milan would buy into that as well. So Lidl-Trek, regardless, they've got to have a good team. We've talked about Garner this week as well.
We have.
Garner, second at Torino Adriatico, showed his climbing legs. He, as an Italian, we know he wants this race. And I reckon he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. The big unit. Everyone forgets he still does have a huge turn of pace at the end. He's still got a great kick on him. For a rider who's just got a big engine, yeah, look, he was on the boards as a kid and everything. And
second in 2023.
Yep.
So you're right. We've seen him win bunch sprints. Imagine if he was, for me, the perfect move for Garner is that Stuyven attack. It's the one at the base. Yep. They all get to the bottom of the Ripoggio descent into that final sort of 1.7 Ks. It might be a bit longer than that, 2.7 Ks. That's the one where Garner attacks. Lidl, maybe Scoinge or Pedersen is there. They all look at each other and he rides away to victory. So let's see what Garner can do, but I think we're going to see the best of him this year.
Yeah, I agree. What about some outside favourites? What about some roughies, mate? On my list, top of the list is Mauro Schmidt, who's in great form. He was second to Michael Storer on a sort of medium mountain stage at Paris-Nice.
How was that Aussie shelling him in raining conditions for the Swiss?
Yeah, it was interesting, but it just showed you how hard the climb was.
Yeah.
Schmidt, he won the Cadell Evans Great Ocean Road race earlier on in the year, and he sort of carried that form into spring. He's one for me who I think he's got the legs, got the form. They've got the team layout as well with Michael Matthews, who was second last year.
Yeah.
He's another man who can get it done. Milan San Remo, it is famous for being probably the easiest race to win, but the hardest.
Yeah. That's what they say. It is. I like that pick. Mauro Schmidt, he's a great asset for Yako. Not a huge outside pick, but one where you don't consider, because you've talked about everyone except him. Tom Pidcock for mine, I think he will be there. His form, he will be there, I think, if Pog goes over the top. He'll be in that group. And I'd like to see him have an opportunity to attack the descent.
Well, he attacked last year into it, didn't he?
He did, but it wasn't quite... just the timing wasn't right.
No, he attacked and then Van der Poel pulled him back.
Yes, but I think this year he's in better shape. It's clear at this point of the year he's in better shape. So perhaps that separation will be more for Pidcock. And I'd like to see him I want to see a nice descent, and Pidcock could ride a good one. So... he's a serious contender.
My man, Bidim Grimet as well, is another name to watch out for. The Eritrean champion from Intermarché Wanty, mate. I think he could be another rider to sort of just simmer away in the background, get over the Cipressa, the Poggio, and then just be there. And then just roll everybody in the sprint.
That would make a very good storyline and be all over the papers. Tommy, on Zwift, right, there is an area of the world that's based around like the Mayan sort of era. There's temples, there's sort of routes with the vines hanging down, all that sort of stuff. It's a very cool part of Zwift. Everyone loves the Mayan area, full of ruins and all that sort of stuff. Now, there's actually a route you can do on Zwift called the Milan San Remo, and it's 21 kilometres in length, and it does mirror in the terrain of the final 21 Ks of Milan San Remo with the two sort of climbs at the end. So if you're feeling like you want to dial your training in on Zwift, just as we get closer to Milan San Remo, I suggest you go and get the right route badge for the Milan San Remo. It's also really good for racing on that Mayan area.
Is it going to be you this week, mate?
I will. If it rains, I've got a session that I want to do this week. I might just get myself familiar with the final and just picture how I would go in the Propello when they hit the Poggio.
You might be able to stay up on a Saturday night, mate. You'll be sound asleep come 11 o'clock.
No. Couple of caffeine gels, I'll be up and about. Now, historically, Tommy, Milan San Remo in the last 10 years, if you look at them, we've got Philipsen, Van der Poel, Mohoric, Stuyven, Van Aert, Alaphilippe, Nibali, Kwiatkowski, Demar, and Degenkov, the great man.
Naughty boy Demar,
That's right. Now, all of those riders, a lot of them are you can all characterise them as riders who can do do multiple things. They're they've got a versatile nature. They're classics and sprinters or elite descenders. And the only exception of that group is Demar, who cheated and held on to the car.
Ooh, very blatant with those comments there.
And Gaviria crashed out Sagan and Cancellara in the last 500 metres, and Sagan was going to win. So Demar, apart from him being a dirty cheat,
he's got the com, doesn't he? He's got the com. He put that up.
Look up that.
He uploaded his file for reference, and it auto-uploaded, and he said he got the com, and this is after he's crashed at the bottom of the climb and then has re-emerged at the front of the bike race. There was a few sticky water bottles allegedly being thrown around. So
dirty Demar. But that shows you the list of riders and the type of riders that win this race. And as strong as UAE's train could be, and the room of the full Skytrain, Cipressa attack, and then the Poggio, I think, like we've said, the best chances right now are Van der Poel and Philipsen, and you have to say, let's say, Mads and Milan, really, when you think about it, because it's the riders.
You're backing Johnny Milan.
Well, it's the teams that have two at the base of the Poggio, and that's been before. We've had Philipsen and Van der Poel the last couple of years. It's the team that have two at the top of the Poggio, isn't it? Well, yeah, that was Mohoric and Traknik when Mohoric went. So, that's one to watch as well. So, there's one thing being a great rider, but you've got to have a good team to compete here as well. Now, we talked about the weather. Well, just watch, a watch on the weather, because things can change with regards to the forecast, but it is going to be raining. That does lean into, riders like Pedersen and Pogacar who love the wet. But you're just looking now, Tommy, on the weather.
Yeah, I've got no idea at the moment. No. Well, it's not coming up with bomb, mate, so I can't find the Italian version.
I've already checked. It's wet. It's going to be wet, and it's going to be cold. So let's see what that happens to the race. You certainly want a set of Pirellis on, Tommy, when you're racing in the wet. Some P0 race TLRs, if you would like to get any
you
tyres.
certainly would.
Make sure you hit up Pirelli. But Tommy, we've got to do our mortgage picks. Now that we've gone through just about everything in the race. I mean, scenarios, we know the scenarios.
What do you think's actually going to happen? Give me your scenario before you give me your pick.
Well, I think we'll see UAE try on the Cipressa, and they'll try. Pog will get away, but I think there'll be a couple of riders that will stay with him. They won't want to work. Gruppo Compacto again. They'll hit the Poggio traditional lead out, a chance for Pog to go again, and it's just whether or not the wind is there and who can follow over the top. Maybe the 5 riders that we've all talked about, the Garners, your Pidcocks, Van der Poels, Philipsen, and Pog. I reckon it comes back together on the base of the Poggio.
Yep, okay.
Garner goes, Garner wins.
So you're tipping Garner?
I'm tipping Top Garner.
Top Garner. Well, you've written down Pidcock here, so you're an absolute snake in the grass.
No, I said earlier in the episode, there was my outside pick.
Oh, he's a man of many picks.
Do you think he can win this one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the easiest race to win, mate. Now, look, I think you're going to see UAE. They're going to get on the Cipressa. They're going to try and light it up. They're going to ride a really hard tempo.
Yep.
I think they're going to put everyone, including themselves, under duress.
Yep.
They're going to make sure they've got 2 riders in front of Pog at the start of the final climb, where they just do big hero turns. Pog goes where the only place you can attack, that hard little ramp at the top.
Yeah.
He either gets away or he doesn't. I think in the lead up to that, this finale, though, I think if there is any opportunity where they can actually make it hard, and they can actually, if there's a bit of crosswind action, and we talk about how long and hard the race is. It's a slow bubble. If they can ride the whole day in the gutter, quite literally, and force everybody to ride either an echelon or something like that. That's 4 or 5 hours of everybody having to put out an extra 30 or 40 watts.
That makes it.
And that, we talk about these pathetic little climbs at the end of Milan San Remo that are these humongous deciders.
They'll hurt.
That will be the only way that Pogacar can win the race.
Yeah, so they need hard conditions.
Yeah, precisely.
So then outside of that, does that mean that Alpecin and Trek are the big favourites then?
Yeah, in my opinion. I think Mads Pedersen gets the chocolates.
You like him?
Oh,
okay.
yeah, the big door, the big sauce. I love him.
To see that.
Yeah, he seems just like an honest worker. He seems like a bloke who gets it done and supports his teammates. So, wouldn't mind seeing it.
We want to know who is going to win. Who's your pick for Milan San Remo? Make sure you put it in the comments down below. And if you're right, maybe we'll send you a little prize as well from FE Sports. We've got a couple of leftover goodies as well from our Nationals campaign. So
very nice.
Make sure you chuck it in the comments, see if you're right. And
let's make it interesting. Whoever gets closer, whoever gets their man further up,
Oh, but
Let's put
the
it-
problem
let's-
is if
let's put a bit-
Garner
let's put a bit-
attacks and he gets brought
No,
back, he
I
finishes
don't want to.
15th.
Yeah, well, that's
You're picking a sprinter. and
Yeah,
West-
yeah, exactly. It's a sprint classic.
Well,
It's
I
a
get
sprint
2 to
monument.
1 then.
No, absolutely not.
All right. Well, I've still picked Garner.
Brecky's on it.
All right. Brecky at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
I'll take it. I've
got Garner. Tommy has got Pigcock. And,
No, I don't. I've got Pedersen. You've lost the plot. You're panicking now. You're thinking of the financial outgoings. Megan's going to be on your case.
I just see dollar signs. Where's the invoice? All right, legends. That was our Milan San Remo preview. Are we going to be doing a recap?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see how we
if
go.
we
See how we
do,
pull up.
if we do, we'll tie in to sort of a forecast of some of the cobbled classics that's going to be coming up. Because, mate, we're straight into it after next week. We've got a host of classics as I quickly pull up.
Oh, yeah.
The calendar. It's going to be
busy
looking.
as.
We're going to be looking at sort of E3. Obviously, Volta Ciclista Catalunya
Yep.
kicks off, but we've got Bruges de Pan, E3, then Gent-Wevelgem, Dwars,
Dwars,
Vlaanderen, and then
Wednesday.
Ronde. So we're into the big
busy.
Belgian block. So
Big Belgy block, and we love you guys for listening, so we'll catch you on the next ep.